Shalom, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, who I learned this truth from. And salutations and blessings. I write to you 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3 elect brothers and sisters out there. So this lesson is going to go into, hand gestures, hand signs, right? What the ancients called mudras, right? And why it's so popular, why everybody is throwing these symbols up today. Why are they throwing them up, right? It's because it's a gesture and it's an invocation of spirits, right? You had back in the day, you had the rockers throw up, well, I'm gonna start off with this scripture. I'm not gonna talk right now. I'm gonna start off with this. This is Proverbs 6:12. It says, "A naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a froward mouth. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers." I'm going to read this in the NLT. Right, verse 12. "What are worthless and wicked people like? They are constant liars, signaling their deceit with a wink of the eye, a nudge of the foot, or the wiggle of fingers. Their perverted hearts plot evil, and they constantly stir up trouble." Right? So that goes into, these occultists. When you're in the occult, you have esoteric knowledge that you can't reveal, deep hidden knowledge. So therefore, when you can't reveal certain things, you have to use signs and signals to try to communicate with other people and show, I'm down with this. I'm with this society, or I did this ritual. I'm on this level. I'm on this grade or degree. Right? You have to constantly do these signs, and it's been interwoven with popular fashion, in today's age. That's what I was mentioning about back in the day. You had rockers, you had the rockers throw up the devil horns. It was a symbol of rock on. But everybody knew that was to worship Satan, to praise Satan. That came from Satanism. And now you have to ask yourself, why the fuck do these rappers, these drillers, why are they throwing up the devil horns when you look in the hip-hop industry? What does this mean, right? Is he saying rock on? What is that on his shirt? Look at his belt, and then below. What do all these things mean, right? Is she rocking on, right? So you gotta, is Bush rocking on? Is he, or he'll tell you that's for the Texas Longhorns, right? Right. So what does this mean? What does all this mean? It's worshiping. It's giving praise to a demon, and it's actually invocating him, trying to invocate, right? This guy, Lil Nas X, or not Nas X, the other guy, this demon right here. Forget that guy's name. Triple X, whatever the fuck. The goat. Why is the goat popular with the horns? So you got to ask yourself, what does this all mean? Because now you have children throwing this shit up, right? You got kids throwing it up like Spider-Man, like it's cool, like they just throw it up. So I'm going to go into this book first. This is called Element Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols by Adele Nozadar. And let me see. Damn, hold on. God, Salakia. This thing was messing up now all of a sudden. Before it was working, but anyway, when you go down here, this is, page 629, under mudras, right? Mudras. See these different signs. This is the cornice. You got these different signs. This is in the church, right? They do this when they so-called bless you. So you got these different mudras. Now, look at this part right here. It says the Sanskrit word mudra is derived from the word, from the verb mud, meaning to please, with the inference being that the gods are the ones that are being pleased. It also means seal, sign, or mark. Mudras are hand signals, but with a more sacred nature than the secular gestures described above. They have spiritual meanings not only because of their intention, but because each part of the hand and the fingers is dedicated to a deity. Mudras are used in yoga and dance, as well as in religious pictures and statuary. Images of the Buddha, for example, generally show his hands in the silently eloquent gestures that are rich in meaning. So that was the point on that, right? This is used to please someone. Are you pleasing Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai? Did the Lord, is there a law that says you got to make this certain hand gesture? Of course not. You know, and people, you got to ask yourself, why are people so, prone to throwing these things up? Because you see your celebrities doing it. Well, your celebrities are getting instructions from somebody. They're being initiated, and they have to throw these things up. And like I said, you got children throwing it up now, not knowing what they're invocating and bringing into their life. You people are inviting spirits into your life. So let's go. Hold on, I got another one. 1 second. Right. So this book is, remember the page. This is from a book called Masonic and Occult Symbols, illustrated by Dr. Kathy Burns. Okay, we're on page 242. So it says here, my introduction to Wicca happened to include some of these old gestures. In 1971, I saw some photographs of magical protective gestures such as the mano figo, a hand clenched into a fist, the thumb jutting out between the first and middle fingers, and the mano cornuta, a V formed by the first and little fingers and held upside down. The latter is used in Wicca, with points up to represent the god in his homed aspect. Gestures in Wiccan ritual can easily become second nature. When invoking the goddess and god, the hands can be held uplifted with the fingers spread to receive their power. The goddess can be individually invoked with the left hand, the thumb and first finger held up and curled into a half circle, while the rest of the fingers are tucked against the palm. This represents the crescent moon. The god is invoked with the first and middle fingers of the right hand raised, or with the first and fourth fingers up, the thumb holding down the others against the palm to represent horns. The elements can be invoked with individual gestures when approaching the four directions. A flat hand held parallel with the ground to invoke earth as the north. An upraised hand, fingers spread wide apart to invoke air at the east. An upraised fist for the south to invite fire, and a cupped hand to the west to invoke water. Now, hold on. Where's that scripture, man? It's in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Yeah. Wisdom of Solomon 13:1. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of the Most High, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster, but deemed either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world. Do you understand how this world operates now? Do you understand the degeneracy of these people, man? These heathen. And you niggas are heathens too. You Jakes out there, you're heathens, man. All right, you Latinos, you Native Americans, you guys are heathens right now. So you're worshiping these five elements because you can see and feel them, and they work things in the earth, but you don't know that these are things set up by a governor, by a power, man. By a higher power. These are just instruments. When you have an instrument, does the instrument play itself? Of course not, you idiots. You need a person to play the instrument. Right? Verse 3, with those with whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods. Yes, they're beautiful, but you're lacking knowledge as to who created them. You're thinking they're the gods right there. The sun, that's God. He warms the earth. It's the yang. It's the male representing strength and vitality, and then the moon. That's the woman. She's soft. It's the nighttime. It's time of rest. All that bugged out shit, man. The Most High gave the light two lights, right? One greater, one lesser. One to rule the day, one to rule the night. The Most High made that, you idiots. Right? It says, Let them know how much better the Lord of them is, for the first author of beauty hath created them. Right? Like yesterday we were driving, we visited the brother in Montreal, and we're driving back home, and there was a beautiful skyline, man, beautiful sunset. And I'm looking at them, and it looks like a painting, right? People actually paint those things, right? People have a scenic painting. They'll set up their canvas at a sunset, and they'll paint what they see. They'll draw what they see. And it's like copying, the original author. That's all you're doing. The Most High created that beautiful painting. You damn idiots, man. It says, verse 4, but if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. For by the greatness and beauty of the creatures, proportionably the maker of them is seen. But yet for this they are the less to be blamed, for they peradventure err, seeking the Most High and desirous to find him. Okay, so let's go back. I don't know why it keeps exiting. Hold on. So like that's Satan. Yeah. Right, and a cupped hand to the west to invoke water. Gestures are also used in magic. Each of the fingers relates to a specific planet as well as an ancient deity. So look, these things are serious, bro. I'm just popular. It's just a song. Oh, it's just a symbol. Oh, he just does it. Well, I've seen him do it or her do it. These things have meaning, man. These things are not just, and that's why the Lord, look, when you pray, there's no specific way to pray, man. Like as a mudra, as a hand gesture. All you do is you lift your hands up to the sky as you're begging. Like you beg somebody not to kill you, you lift your hands up. When the police try to blow you away, you lift your hands up. You lift your hands up as a token of supplication. Man, it's like Satan's working. So right here. So it says the thumb relates to Venus and to the planet Earth. Jupiter, both the planet and the god, rules the forefinger. It says the middle finger is ruled by the god and planet Saturn. The fourth finger, the sun and Apollo, and the little finger by the planet Mercury, as well as the god after which it is named. Gestures are magical tools, as potent as any other, ones we can always take with us to be used when needed. Okay, now down here it says the mano cornuta. This is what the devil horns. This is what it's called. All right, this is the mano cornuta. All right, it was also mentioned. This is known by a number of other names, such as the devil's triad, il cornuto, the horn devil, twin-homed salute, homed hand, devil salute, and devil horn salute. The devil's triad is a recognition sign among Satanists and witches. Remember that Satan, or Pan, is called the homed god. So now you understand why there's a thing in the earth that's called pansexuality. Okay, that didn't just come from anywhere. All right. Remember that Satan or Pan is called the homed god, so the hand signal is formed so as to resemble horns. Many people in heavy metal music or rock music also use this sign. Even some within the so-called Christian rock world, there is no such thing as Christian rock, use this signal. Some of the rock groups who use this are Gene Simmons, Heart, Cheap Trick, Utopia, and so-called Christian rock group Petra. I didn't even read that part. That's the spirit, man. The Edomites, Petra. You guys know who you are. Alright, the Beatles were the first rock band to use the devil's triad on a record album cover. Another rocker who frequently uses the devil salute is Ronnie James Padovana, who calls himself Dio, which is Latin for God. He admits that he knows about the occult, and he at one time led thousands in altar calls to Satan at concerts. His album cover also features this sign. In addition, it is interesting to note his name on the cover. When his name is turned upside down, the word changes from Dio to devil. Right there. The devil's triad is a Sicilian sign of the devil used to cast spells and to ward off the evil eye as well as a sign for hexing and charming, casting spells, which is explicitly forbidden by Deuteronomy 18:10-12. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination to the Lord. This sign is also used by the mafia for signaling death. It is also intriguing to note that the god Shiva, which is a synonym for Satan according to the Satanic Bible, also is seen making the devil's triad in some pictures. One Mason, JSM Ward, brags, quote, Shiva, who carries in his second right hand the cable toe of death, is the Lord of death and therefore of rebirth, reincarnation. It is particularly significant that he should be represented as making the sign he is. And that's why the spirit also got, Shiva also sticks out her tongue. That's why all these degenerate harlots, all right, not lack for a better word, all right, you damn harlots out there, you guys, you got that ritual and trend of sticking on your tongue because you think you're a bad girl or whatever you think you are. You're just a product of the chaos. You're invoking spirits. You don't even know why you're sticking out your tongue, right? It was instructed to you, by the occult, passed down via celebrities, who are lesser illuminaries. You got some celebrities who are really deep, but majority celebrities, they're going through rituals and they're doing their thing, but a lot of them getting eaten alive, man, spiritually, Okay, so it says, in the God